I never thought I'd be the guy whose wife walks out on him and their toddler daughter. That Friday night, when she left for a party in that tight black dress, something in her eyes told me everything was about to change. I decided to ignore her completely. No calls, no texts. But when she appeared at our doorstep the next morning, disheveled and smelling of another man's cologne, I knew I had two choices: break down or stand up. My daughter deserved a father who would fight for her, no matter the cost. My name is Alan Parker. I'm 39 years old, a dentist with my own practice in suburban Chicago. 3 years ago, I thought I had it all: a successful career, a beautiful wife, and a home in a neighborhood with good schools and manicured lawns. When Amber told me she was pregnant, it felt like the final piece of the puzzle clicking into place. I was ready to be a father, ready to build the family I'd always wanted. Lily's birth was the happiest day of my life. Holding that tiny bundle in my arms, I swore I'd move mountains to protect her. I threw myself into fatherhood, learning to change diapers, getting up for midnight feedings, taking her for walks in the stroller to give Amber time to rest. But somewhere along the way, my marriage began to change. It started with small things: Amber becoming distant, pulling away when I tried to hold her, sighing heavily when Lily cried as if motherhood was a burden she hadn't signed up for. I told myself it was just the adjustment period, that once we found our rhythm as parents, things would go back to normal. That Friday evening, I came home from work earlier than usual, planning to surprise Amber with takeout from her favorite Thai place. Instead, she surprised me. "I'm going to Tracy's party tonight," she announced, already dressed in a tight black dress I hadn't seen in years. "Tracy's party? You never mentioned any party," I said, setting down the food bags as Lily toddled over to hug my legs. Amber shrugged, applying another coat of lipstick in the hallway mirror. "It came up last minute. I need a break, Alan. I've been cooped up with her all week." She nodded toward Lily without looking at our daughter. "I don't think it's a good idea," I said firmly. "We haven't had family time all week, and I was hoping we could. I'm going whether you like it or not." She cut me off, grabbing her purse. "Don't wait up." I stood there, stunned, as she walked out the door without even kissing Lily goodbye. Something cold settled in my stomach as I watched her get into her car through the window. The confident way she checked her reflection one last time. The smile that played on her lips, not for me, not for our daughter, but for someone else. "Dad up." Lily tugged at my pants, oblivious to the fact that her mother had just walked out on our family night without a second thought. I picked her up, forcing a smile. "Looks like it's just you and me tonight, princess. How about some noodles and a Disney movie?" But even as I set up our dinner, my mind kept returning to Amber's cavalier exit. My wife went to a party knowing I was against it, and somehow, I knew our marriage would never be the same. After Amber left, the house felt eerily quiet despite Lily's Disney movie playing in the background. I tried to focus on my daughter, building a fort out of couch cushions and pretending to be completely invested in Frozen for the 100th time. But my mind kept drifting to Amber, wondering where she really was and who she was with. "Dada, more noodles," Lily demanded, holding out her plastic princess bowl. "Coming right up, sweetheart," I replied, grateful for the distraction. By 8 o'clock, Lily was bathed and in her pajamas. I read her favorite bedtime story twice before her eyelids finally drooped. Kissing her forehead, I tucked her in and switched on the nightlight that projected stars across her ceiling. "Sleep tight, princess," I whispered, feeling a fierce rush of protectiveness. No matter what happened with Amber, I would make sure Lily was safe and loved. With my daughter asleep, there was nothing to keep my thoughts from wandering into dangerous territory. I paced the living room, checking my phone every few minutes, even though I decided not to call or text Amber. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of knowing how worried I was. At 11, I poured myself 2 fingers of whiskey and sank onto the couch. Our wedding photo stared back at me from the mantel, Amber in white, looking at me like I was her whole world. When had that changed? When had I become an afterthought in my own marriage? I scrolled through our recent text messages, looking for clues. Amber's texts had grown shorter, less affectionate. "Working late" had become a frequent excuse. "Too tired" was her standard response when I suggested we go out. Something clicked in my brain, a puzzle piece falling into place. On a hunch, I logged into our shared phone account. My hand shook slightly as I pulled up the call history. There it was. Dozens of calls too, and from the same number, sometimes late at night when she claimed to be sleeping next to me. The most recent call had been today, just before she'd announced her plans to go out. I didn't recognize the number, but I saved it to my phone. Craig. I gave the anonymous caller a name, putting a label on the nameless dread I'd been feeling. The whiskey burned down my throat as I consider my options. I could confront her tonight when she came home. I could call the number and find out who was on the other end. I could pretend I knew nothing and gather more evidence. In the end, I decided to wait. I needed to be strategic, to think about what was best for Lily. Rushing into an accusation without solid proof wouldn't help anyone. I must have fallen asleep on the couch because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through the windows, and Lily was calling for me from her room. I checked my phone, 6:45 a.m. No messages, no missed calls, and no Amber. I decided right then and there that I would ignore her completely when she finally decided to come home. No questions, no arguments, nothing. I lifted Lily from her crib, trying to hide my anger behind a smile. "Let's make pancakes, princess," I suggested, and her face lit up. But even as I mixed batter and poured perfect circles onto the griddle, my mind was racing, calculating how long it had been since my wife had bothered to come home to her family. I was flipping pancakes for Lily's second, helping when I heard the front door open. It was 7:38 a.m. according to the microwave clock. Lily's face lit up at the sound. "Mama," she squealed, scrambling down from her booster seat. I stayed focused on the griddle, my back turned to the doorway. The sound of heels clicking on hardwood approached the kitchen. "Good morning," Amber said, her voice artificially bright. She smelled of alcohol, cigarettes, and perfume that wasn't hers. Her dress was wrinkled, her makeup smudged. I didn't respond, didn't even look at her. Instead, I carefully transferred the pancake to Lily's princess plate and set it in front of our daughter's empty chair. "Lily, come finish your breakfast," I said calmly. "Ellen." Amber sounded confused by my silence. "What's wrong with you?" I busied myself with washing the mixing bowl, still refusing to acknowledge her. From the corner of my eye, I could see her swaying slightly. She wasn't just hungover, she was still drunk. "Mama, pancakes." Lily tugged at Amber's dress, but Amber barely glanced at her. "Not now, baby. Mommy's tired." She pushed past our daughter and headed for the coffee pot. That's when I noticed a mark on her neck, an unmistakable hickey poorly concealed by her disheveled hair. Something cold and hard settled in my chest. I'd been suspecting an emotional affair, but this was physical evidence I couldn't ignore. "Dada, help." Lily was struggling to climb back into her chair. I dried my hands and lifted her up, securing her in the booster seat. The domesticity of the moment contrasted sharply with the betrayal standing in my kitchen. "Are you seriously going to ignore me?" Amber demanded, slamming her coffee mug down. "What is your problem?" I finally turned to face her, keeping my voice low and steady for Lily's sake. "Where were you all night?" "I told you I was going to Tracy's party," she snapped. "And you couldn't send a single text to let me know you weren't coming home." My tone remained calm, controlled. I wouldn't lose my composure in front of my daughter. "Don't act like I'm some teenager with a curfew," she scoffed. "I'm an adult. I don't need your permission." "You're also a mother," I replied, nodding toward Lily, who was happily massacring her pancake. "Or have you forgotten that part?" Amber rolled her eyes. "I need a shower." She turned to leave, then paused in the doorway. "And by the way, I don't appreciate being treated like this in my own home." "Your home." I couldn't help but laugh. "When was the last time you actually acted like this was your home? Or that we were your family?" She didn't answer, just stomped off toward our bedroom. I heard the shower start a moment later. I sat down next to Lily, helping her cut her pancake into manageable bites. "Good job, princess. Daddy's proud of you." I had some tough decisions to make, but seeing my little girl smile reminded me what was really at stake. Whatever happened next, I would make sure Lily was protected from the fallout. I didn't confront Amber about the hickey or the phone records. Not yet. Instead, I spent the morning with Lily at the park while Amber slept off her night out. Strategic patience had always served me well in business negotiations. Now I was applying it to my crumbling marriage. When we returned home around noon, I put Lily down for her nap and went to my home office, locking the door. I needed to see what else I could discover before confronting Amber. Her laptop was still on the kitchen counter, where she'd left it the day before. I hesitated for only a moment before opening it. The screen came to life without requiring a password, Amber had always been careless with security. Her email was still logged in. I clicked on the sent folder, scanning for anything suspicious. And there it was, dozens of emails to Craig over the past year. I clicked on one from a week ago. Last weekend was amazing. The subject line read. I opened it, my heart pounding in my chest. The content was worse than I'd imagined. Explicit details of their weekend together at a hotel while I was at a dental conference. Plans for future meetups. A photo of them together, her sitting on his lap, both grinning at the camera. I felt physically ill. This wasn't just a fling or a mistake. This was a full-blown relationship that had been going on right under my nose for a year, since Lily was just a year old. What are you doing? I looked up to find Amber standing in the doorway, her face pale as she realized what I was looking at. How long? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady despite the storm raging inside me. She sighed, not even bothering to deny it. Doesn't matter. A year, Amber. You've been seeing him since Lily was a baby. I stood up, closing the laptop with a decisive click. I didn't plan it, she said, crossing her arms defensively. But you were always busy with work or Lily. Craig, he makes me feel alive. And I make you feel what? Trapped. I gestured around our home, the one I'd worked hard to provide. Yes, trapped. Her voice rose, and I immediately glanced toward Lily's room. I never wanted to be just a mother and wife. I didn't sign up to be stuck at home while you get to have a career and identity. You chose to stay home, I reminded her. I supported your decision. I offered to help find childcare so you could go back to work. I didn't want help. I wanted. She trailed off, looking away. What? What did you want that was worth destroying our family? Freedom, she whispered. I wanted freedom. I looked at this stranger wearing my wife's face and realized the woman I married was long gone, if she'd ever existed at all. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out. Now. I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. Amber's eyes widened in shock. She clearly hadn't expected me to take control like this. You can't kick me out of my own house. Watch me, I replied, my voice steel. Amber stared at me as if I'd grown a second head. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life, I replied, crossing my arms. Either you leave now, or I call my parents to pick up Lily, and then we can really have this out. Your choice. She must have seen the determination in my eyes because her defiant posture faltered. I need to pack some things. Make it quick. While Amber stuffed clothes into a suitcase, I checked on Lily. She was still sleeping soundly, blissfully unaware that her world was crumbling. I stroked her soft cheek, vowing again that I would protect her from whatever came next. When I returned to our bedroom, Amber was zipping up her suitcase. Where will you go? I asked, not out of concern but practicality. Tracy's, she mumbled, not meeting my eyes. Don't lie to me anymore, I said quietly. We both know you're going to him. She sighed, shouldering her purse. Fine. Yes, I'm going to Craig's. The confirmation twisted the knife deeper, but I kept my face neutral. I'll be calling my lawyer tomorrow. Don't come back here until we've worked out a formal separation agreement. And Lily? She asked, her voice small. What about her? Now you care. The words came out sharper than I intended. She's still my daughter. A fact you seem to remember only when it's convenient. I shot back. But we'll work out visitation through our lawyers. Amber's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't tell if they were genuine or another manipulation. I never meant to hurt you, Alan. Yet you made that choice every day for a year, I replied. Actions have consequences, Amber. It's time you faced yours. She nodded slowly, then walked past me out of the bedroom. I followed her to the front door, watching as she hesitated one last time. Aren't you going to ask me why? She whispered. Would any reason be good enough? I asked. She didn't answer, just turned and walked out the door. I watched through the window as she loaded her suitcase into her car and drove away, feeling strangely hollow. The house felt eerily quiet once she was gone. I methodically began gathering Amber's remaining belongings, placing them in a large garbage bag. Makeup from the bathroom, books from her nightstand, the framed photo of us on our honeymoon. Each item felt like it belonged to a different life, a different version of us that no longer existed. As I worked, I caught sight of our wedding photo. We'd been so happy then, or so I thought. Had she ever really loved me? Or had I been convenient, reliable, a good provider, but ultimately not exciting enough? I was halfway through clearing out her closet when Lily woke up from her nap. Her sleepy did from the monitor pulled me back to reality. My daughter needed me. Everything else, the betrayal, the anger, the broken heart, would have to wait. I put down the garbage bag and went to get my little girl, forcing a smile onto my face. Hey, princess, did you have a good nap? As I lifted her into my arms, her innocent trust grounded me. One way or another, we would get through this. I called my lawyer, David, first thing Monday morning while Lily was engrossed in her favorite cartoon. I need to file for divorce, I said when he picked up, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. I'm sorry to hear that, Alan, David replied. Can you come to the office this afternoon to discuss details? I arranged to drop Lily with my mother, grateful that my parents lived nearby. Mom didn't ask questions when I called, just said, bring her over whenever you need. After hanging up, I moved through the morning routine on autopilot. Breakfast for Lily, getting her dressed, packing her favorite toys for the visit to Grandma's. All the while, my phone remained silent. No calls or texts from Amber asking about her daughter. I dropped Lily off at my parents' place, giving her extra hugs and promising to pick her up soon. My mother watched me with concerned eyes. Alan, what's going on? Where's Amber? She left, I said simply. I'm meeting with David this afternoon to start divorce proceedings. Mom's eyes widened, but she nodded, squeezing my arm. We're here for you and Lily. Whatever you need. Thanks, Mom, I whispered, my voice catching. David's office was in a sleek downtown building. I sat across from him, outlining the situation in clinical terms. The year-long affair, the evidence, Amber's departure. I want full custody of Lily, I said firmly. David nodded, making notes. Given her abandonment of the family home and the evidence of her affair, we have a strong case. But these things can get messy. Are you prepared for that? I'll do whatever it takes to protect my daughter, I replied without hesitation. What about the house? Joint assets. She can have her car and a fair settlement, I said. But I want to keep the house for Lily's stability. We spent the next hour going over details, financial disclosures, custody arrangements, division of property. By the time I left, the divorce papers were being prepared and a clear plan was in place. On the drive to my parents' house, I called my best friend, Kevin. He answered on the second ring. Hey man, what's up? Amber's been cheating, I said bluntly. For a year. She moved out yesterday, and I'm filing for divorce. The line went quiet before Kevin finally spoke. Jesus, Alan. I'm so sorry. Do you need anything? Wanting to come over? Maybe tomorrow, I replied. Tonight. I just need to be with Lily. You're a good dad, Kevin said. Don't forget that while you're dealing with all this other crap. His words hit me hard. A good dad. That's what I needed to focus on now. Being the best father I could be for Lily, regardless of what happened between Amber and me. As I pulled up to my parents' house, I saw Lily's face at the window, lighting up when she spotted my car. Despite everything, I smiled. She was worth fighting for. 2 days after Amber left, I decided to get answers from someone who'd known the truth all along. With Lily at my parents' house again, I drove to Tracy's upscale condo. I hadn't warned her I was coming. When she opened the door, her face fell. Ellen, I wasn't expecting you. Can I come in? I asked, my tone making it clear this wasn't really a question. Tracy stepped aside, nervously smoothing her hair. Her living room was immaculate, all clean lines and modern furniture. Nothing like the chaotic warmth of a home with a toddler. How long have you known? I asked, not bothering with pleasantries. She sank on her white leather sofa. About Craig? Don't lie to me, Tracy. I interrupted, remaining standing. Amber's gone. The marriage is over. I just want the truth. Something in my expression must have convinced her. She sighed, shoulders slumping. Since the beginning. About a year ago. The confirmation hit hard, even though I'd expected it. And you helped her cover it up? She's my friend, Tracy said defensively. I didn't want to get involved in your marriage problems. You were involved the moment you became her alibi, I pointed out. Every time she said she was with you. Was she really? Tracy looked away. With Craig, usually at his apartment. Sometimes hotels. I paced across her pristine floor, processing this. Did she ever talk about why? Was it something I did or didn't do? It wasn't about you, Tracy said quietly. After Lily was born, Amber felt trapped. She said motherhood wasn't what she expected. Craig represented freedom, excitement. And Lily? Did she ever mention our daughter when she was planning these romantic getaways? Tracy's silence was answer enough. You know what's ironic? I laughed bitterly. I was the one who got up with Lily at night. I was the one who came home early to give Amber breaks. I've been over backward trying to make motherhood easier for her, and she repaid me by walking out on both of us. She's not a bad person, Alan, Tracy said weakly. She's just selfish. She always has been. And you decided that loyalty to your selfish friend was more important than an innocent child's stable home life, I said, disappointment clear in my voice. You're as complicit in this as she is. Tracy had the decency to look ashamed. What will you do now? Raise my daughter, I replied simply. Everything else is secondary. As I turned to leave, Tracy called after me. She's staying with him, you know. They're talking about moving to Seattle. I paused at the door, absorbing this final betrayal. Amber potentially moving across the country, away from her daughter. Then I guess we'll need to discuss long-distance visitation. If she even wants it. Driving home, I felt a strange sense of clarity. The anger was still there, but now I had context. This wasn't about me failing as a husband. It was about Amber failing as a wife and mother. Choices she'd made long before I discovered the truth. A week later, I received a text from Amber asking to meet. It was the first contact since she'd left. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let our lawyers handle everything, but I knew we needed closure. I chose a coffee shop downtown, a neutral location with enough public presence to keep things civil. I arrived early, securing a table in the corner where we wouldn't be overheard. Amber walked in 10 minutes late. She looked different somehow. Hair freshly styled, new clothes, a confidence in her step that had been missing in recent months. The transformation stung. She looked happier now that she was free of us. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. What do you want, Amber? I asked, skipping the small talk. She placed her hands flat on the table. I've been thinking about our situation. About Lily. Now you're thinking about Lily? I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. It's been a week, and you haven't called once to check on her. Amber had the grace to look uncomfortable. I needed time to figure things out. While your 2-year-old daughter wondered where her mother disappeared to, I finished. That's not fair. None of this is fair, especially not to Lily. I leaned forward, but I didn't come here to rehash that. What do you want? Amber took a deep breath. Craig and I are moving to Seattle next month. His company is transferring him. Even with Tracy's warning, the confirmation felt like a punch to the gut. And Lily, what's your plan there? That's why I want to talk, she said, her voice softening. I think it might be best if she stays with you. Full time. I stared at her, stunned by her casual abandonment of our daughter. You're giving up custody? Just like that. Not giving up, she corrected quickly. I'd still see her on holidays, summers. But Craig's apartment isn't set up for a child, and with both of us working full time. She trailed off, perhaps hearing how hollow her excuses sounded. So you're choosing him over your daughter, I said flatly. I'm choosing what's best for everyone, she countered. Lily's happy with you. You're a good father, Alan. Better than I've been a mother. The admission should have felt vindicating, but it only left me sad for my daughter, who deserved better. I'll have my lawyer draw up the custody agreement, I said. But understand this. If you walk away from Lily now, don't expect to waltz back into her life whenever it's convenient for you. She's not a part-time responsibility. Amber nodded, eyes downcast. I know you don't believe me, but I do love her. Love is a verb, Amber, I replied, standing to leave. It's something you do, not just something you feel. Remember that. Walking out, I felt a strange mix of anger and relief. The woman I'd married was truly gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. But at least now I knew exactly where we stood, and what I needed to do to protect my daughter. 3 months after Amber left, our divorce was finalized. The terms were straightforward. I received full custody of Lily with Amber granted visitation rights during holidays and 2 weeks in summer. She didn't contest anything, eager to start her new life in Seattle with Craig. The house felt different now, lighter somehow, despite being filled with the toddler's toys and the constant chaos of single parenthood. I'd redecorated, replacing the formal living room furniture with pieces more suitable for a playful 2-year-old. Amber's feminine touches were gone, the walls now adorned with Lily's artwork and photos of our adventures together. You've done a good job here, Kevin said one evening as we shared beers on the back deck. Lily was asleep upstairs, monitored by the baby camera on the table between us. It hasn't been easy, I admitted, watching the sunset paint the sky orange. But we're finding our rhythm. Kevin nodded thoughtfully. Have you heard from her? She calls Lily once a week, I said. The conversations last about 5 minutes before Lily loses interest. Can't blame her. It's hard to maintain a relationship through FaceTime at that age. And the move to Seattle? They're settled in. She sent pictures of their new condo, all modern and sleek, definitely not child-friendly. I took a long pull from my beer. It's for the best. Lily needs stability, not a mother who views her as an accessory to pick up and discard at will. You're a good dad, Alan, Kevin said, echoing words I'd heard from many since becoming a single father. Lily's lucky to have you. After Kevin left, I checked on Lily, watching her sleep peacefully, clutching her favorite stuffed elephant. Sometimes I wondered if she still missed Amber, if she remembered the mother who had walked away so easily. At 2, memories were fleeting, impressions rather than concrete recollections. Perhaps that was a blessing. I'd started dating again recently. Nothing serious, just coffee or dinner while my parents watched Lily. Dr. Rachel Chun, a pediatrician I'd met at a dental conference, had particularly caught my interest. She understood the demands of my schedule, the primacy of Lily in my life, and seemed genuinely enchanted by my daughter when they finally met. Sitting on the edge of Lily's bed, I gently smoothed her curls back from her forehead. We're going to be okay, princess, I whispered, a promise to her and to myself. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time since Amber's betrayal, I felt truly hopeful about our future. We weren't just surviving. We were building something new, a family of 2 that was nonetheless complete in all the ways that mattered. 1 year after the divorce, I stood in our backyard watching Lily chase bubbles across the grass, her laughter filling the air. She'd grown so much, her vocabulary expanding daily, her personality blossoming into a delightful mix of curiosity and determination. Daddy, look, she called, pointing to a large bubble floating above her head. It's so pretty. It sure is, sweetheart, I replied, snapping a photo with my phone. I'd gotten in the habit of documenting these ordinary moments, treasuring the simple joy in my daughter's discoveries. Rachel joined us, carrying a tray of lemonade. Who's thirsty? She asked, setting it on the patio table. Lily ran over, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Mimi. As Rachel helped her with the cup, I marveled at how naturally they interacted. After 6 months of dating, Rachel had become a steady presence in our lives, her warmth and patience winning Lily over completely. My phone buzzed with a text from Amber. Flight lands tomorrow at 2. Still okay to pick me up? It was her first visit since moving to Seattle. The custody agreement entitled her to a week with Lily, though I'd insisted the visit happen at my house to minimize disruption to our daughter's routine. Surprisingly, Amber had agreed without argument. Everything okay? Rachel asked, noting my expression. Amber's flight information, I explained. She'll be here tomorrow. Rachel squeezed my hand. We've talked about this. It's good for Lily to have her mother in her life, even if it's limited. Her understanding was one of the many reasons I'd fallen in love with her. Rachel never felt threatened by Amber's existence. She knew her place in our lives was secure. Later that night, after tucking Lily in, I found myself reflecting on the journey of the past year. The pain of betrayal had faded, replaced by gratitude for what remained. I had my daughter, my health, my practice, and now a relationship with someone who truly valued family. The divorce had forced me to redefine my understanding of family, not as a rigid structure of mother, father, child, but as people who showed up consistently, who chose each other daily through actions rather than mere biology or legal documents. Amber had made her choice, and while I still couldn't fathom how anyone could walk away from their child, I'd made peace with it. Her loss had become Lily's gain in many ways. Our daughter was surrounded by people who put her needs first, who shaped their lives around her well-being rather than expecting her to adapt to theirs. As I turned out the lights and prepared for bed, I felt ready for Amber's visit. Not anxious or angry, just calmly determined to maintain the stable, loving environment Lily deserved. Some marriages weren't meant to last. Some betrayals couldn't be forgiven. But the family I'd built from the ashes of that broken relationship, that was something I would fight for every day of my life.